Thank you very much to all the participants, and I would like to continue on what has been said. Actually, all most significant things have been voiced, and first of all, I would like to say that our country has a particular feature in terms of inter-budget relations and diversification of taxes between federal and regional budgets, and we cannot give taxes to regions and cities, and that is accounted for by several factors of taxation base. And ISAN asked about transferring the income tax to the city. Actually, the Republic, Sakha-Yakutia, has this authority, and if you are in interaction with the federal government, you can find win-win solutions. I did not speak about the Republic of Sakha-Yakutia. I said that we needed generally. Well, then there has to be this generalized solution. I believe that is more the realm of the Ministry of Finance and the income base of the federal budget. But still, additional norms can be transferred to the constituencies of the Russian Federation, even without agreeing it with the Ministry of Finance. So any city, be it successful or not, wishes to develop, but in this development, very often they lack in resources. And I would also like to come back to the beginning. This spring, we had a large-scale opinion poll by the All-Russian Center of Opinion Polls, and they asked what the Far Eastern residents are dissatisfied with, and why do we have this population outflow, and we have this outflow to other Russian cities and abroad as well. And sometimes our cities get more population because of increased birth rate, but in other cases they get population because other cities lose some population. And the answers that people gave really corroborate what we have said today. And what factors make the city attractive? First of all, that is the ratio of income rate to utilities and housing rates as compared to other cities. And when we speak about cities with unfavorable climate, it has to be, of course, compensated by some social infrastructure or some increased level of social infrastructure, and it has to be at the same level or higher than in other cities of Russia and Asia-Pacific countries. And of course, when we have limited resources, the city has to seek them somewhere. Sometimes they find them in private investors, and they agree on different mechanisms like concessions. And sometimes they cannot do it, and therefore there are special federal targeted programs, regional programs, and so on. But there are some objective reasons that do not take into consideration the specificity of the Far East, and that is connected with the density of population and so on. And the funds distribution takes place either on the base of bidding or other procedures, and our region is in a losing position from the very beginning. And if it is bidding, it is hard for us to compete with the developed regions, because to be able to bid, we cannot simply come up with the vision and bid itself, we also have to have different estimates and designs, and there is a special ministry for that. So they did not give you the money I sent, but they came up with the ministry. So we are dealing, yes, with these matters with regions, and not long ago the head of the government, Dmitry Medvedev, ordered to see and consider federal targeted programs and see whether they meet the needs specific to this or that region. And apart from that, we also have some solutions to synchronize investment programs of natural monopolies, and here I mean major government companies and housing as well. There are some issues with methodologies, so we are trying to improve that. I have not an easy question. We understand that our Russian ministries strive to work on this project principle, apart from Ministry of Finance and partly Ministry of Economic Development, that try to deal with the general environment. And same is true with the Ministry of Eastern Development. And the topic of our roundtable today is development of cities of Asia-Pacific region and Far Eastern region in Russia. Do you see the value in development of cities per se, not connected with the development of ports, railroads, and so on, but cities as the center of gravity for people? Because we say that cities lose people, and very often it happens not only because they do not receive a good salary, but because of uncomfortable living conditions. So how do you consider this thing? I would like to say that generally speaking, the topic of priority development area actually overlaps this topic of cities, because we cannot come up with a priority development area in some wasteland. And today we have limited, again, resources, and we have to focus on the projects that give result in the near future. And as for urban development, not connected with investment projects, of course, when we consider matters connected with healthcare and social infrastructure, it is not done in the context of payback. And our ministry, together with the regions, works on the agenda in terms of what needs to be done to have a positive development of social infrastructure and so on. And as for what is connected with governmental programs, it has social economic development nature more than investment one. And we work with the cities, and we see that some questions are formed on the municipal level. Thank you, and colleagues, our time is up. We can take questions for 3, 4, 5 minutes if anybody has questions to our panelists. Please, you are welcome. And please introduce yourself. Belousov Yuri, Moscow. Could you speak closer to the mic? So, do you have a program, accessible universal environment, and how do you think it should develop, and how social organizations are used, and disabled people experts? I can answer this question. So let me try to take this question. To Yes, our cry and our city has this accessible environment program, and a lot of social organizations take part in it, and it has been drafted for several years, and it uses the budget and events that improve accessibility for disabled people have been planned for that. So this program is in place. And I would also like to add that not long ago we agreed the Russian Federation Accessible Environment program, and we actively debated it with our Ministry of Labor, but they managed to hear us. And if we consider the indicators that are fixed there, it proves that now we are lagging behind the general Russian level, and that was one of the arguments that we voiced for our colleagues from the Ministry of Labor, so that we have a special section for the Russian Far East, and it was done, and we have this increased coefficient, so we will have more funds, and it also means that the region can invest more, but to participate in the country, it has to cover 5% co-funding.